I'm going to call the meeting to order, and heavy on the word order, Marchie.
Yeah.
And it is 1:06 p.m. Our first order of business is the very happy swearing in of our newest provincial appointee member, Joe Greco. So Joe, I'm going to hand it over to Lisa, who's going to read some papers to you so we can have you properly sworn in and welcome to the board.
Just before we do that, sorry, this is a procedural question. I know we told the media not to come up. Or that's at least the message that the front desk guy was getting.
Yes, so we generally go right into close.
Gotcha.
So, and I go get them later, I'll inform them that Joe has been sworn in, he's the latest board member, just because we bring him up and then have to bring him back downstairs.
Right.
So as long as that's okay with the board chair, we can.
Well, I'm going to just ask Joe, would you like to have the media present? Because maybe they'd like to get a picture while you're getting sworn in. Would you like to do that?
No, that doesn't sound like I need to do that.
Okay.
So I'm going to defer to Sarah. She's going to do your swearing in.
Where would you like?
I'll come to you.
Oh, okay. You want me to stand or sit?
It's your preference. Lots of times they sit and do this.
All right.
You're just gonna read your paper. There's Bible hand on it. Told that you want
They
to
said we can maybe get a couple photos.
stamp and you'll sign.
Read out loud.
Yes, please.
Over there. I, Joseph Ronald Greco, solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of Canada, which recognizes and affirms Aboriginal and treaty rights of Indigenous peoples, and that I will, to the best of my ability, discharge my duties as a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service Board faithfully, impartially, and according to the Community Safety and Policing Act 2019, any other act, and any regulation, rule, or bylaw. So help me God. I, Joseph Ronald Greco, solemnly swear that I will not disclose any information obtained by me in the course of my duties as a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Police Service Board, except as I may be authorized or required by law. So help me God.
Please give their, when the constables give their swearing in or whatever, it has that word in it.
Malvestation.
Malvestation. Yeah.
We all had to memorize that. That was part of the whole day, whole day training package. Thanks, guys.
Malvestation. He was.
Yep.
Congratulations, Joe. Thanks for serving and welcome to the board. We're very happy to have you.
Thank you.
Our next order of business was supposed to be an address from a member of the public named Don Ford. Don has reached out to the secretary, to Lisa, and advised that he's content and doesn't need to address the board at this time. And I'd like a motion to move in camera. And the purpose of us moving in camera is to discuss certain items that are included under section 44A of the CSPA, which more specifically relate to potential litigation, human resources, and legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. So if I could have a mover, please. Marchie's moved and Matt has seconded. Thank you. And we'll move into closed session now. We're going to begin this afternoon's open session now with our territorial acknowledgement, and we are acknowledging that we are on Robinson Huron Treaty Territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically the Garden River Batchewana First Nation, as well as the Métis people. Present this afternoon are Matthew Shoemaker, Marchie Bruni, Joe Greco, myself, and staff include Chief Duguay, Angela Davey, Sarah Miles, and Lincoln Loudit for the media, and our administrator slash secretary for the board, Lisa Hodgson, thankfully, is here with us also. And could I begin with any conflicts of interest on the open agenda, please? I don't see any. If they arise, if a conflict arises while we're having the discussion, obviously make yourself known and you can excuse yourself from the deliberations. May I have a mover and a seconder to accept the public agenda for today's meeting? Moved by Marchie, and a seconder is, I think that was Matt.
Yes.
And all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Similarly, if we could have a mover and a seconder for the minutes of June 25th, and neither the mover nor the seconder nor the voter can be someone that was not present at that meeting. So a mover that was in attendance, please. Did someone move that,
Yeah,
Lisa? I
Matt.
can't really see. Matt,
Matt
thank
and
you. And a
March.
seconder? Thank you. Matt and Marchie, and all in favor? And that is carried. And we'll also adopt the minutes of the emergent meeting of August 6th. Anyone that was present at that could move it, please. Marchie, and seconded by Matt, and we'll vote on that, and that is carried. And moving on to the more substantive issues, the matters that are arising from our in-camera session. We received a report outlining the proposed 2026 budget. And this will allow us to fill in this resolution with the actual numbers. I just have my, I want to make sure, and I'm going to ask Angela, please, to assist me here. It looks like what we're going to be moving is resolve that the Police Service Board approves the 2026 budget as presented on this day, September 24th, 2025, in the amount of 44,252,000.
Correct.
And that represents an overall increase of 10.97%. May I have a mover for that budget report, please?
I'll move.
Joe, thank you. And a seconder?
Was Marchie.
Archie, and we'll vote on that, please.
Well, are we gonna?
All in favor? Yeah.
No. We gonna ask questions on that?
Well, it's otherwise it would be my new tyrannical approach to pushing things through. Yes. Thanks, Matt. Please, are there questions on the budget? Thank you.
Thanks, Nola. So through you to Ms. Davy. Angela, the budget last year obviously was a significant point of discussion. I think a big factor in the overages that are happening this year were that we were over complement in our hires, we were under budgeted in our overtime, and a handful of others that contributed to it. Those were the two big ones. Is that corrected in this year's preliminary budget?
Yes, it is.
So what are we budgeting for in terms of complement versus what our complement is?
So we are budgeting for our full complement that are being paid right now. In addition to a potential external deputy, so that would be 167 full-time police officers, 4 members. That would also include our civilian complement, which would be approved at 68 for 2026, and then our part-time complement.
Okay, and so the complement last year that we budgeted for versus what we actually had was what?
We budgeted for 154 police officers, but our actual complement into the beginning of this year was 169, I believe, at its highest.
So we're now into 167,
30.
and that's because there's been retirements?
Correct.
Okay. And what is the proposed approved complement for 2026?
For 2026, the approved complement is 163. That includes the rollout of the plan for Division 2. So we added 7 to complement 2025, 7 more in 2026, with the last 3 being added in 2027.
Just so the 163 is a story includes the 7 that were previously approved by council as part of the plan to add a full platoon.
Correct.
And then overtime was another big item from the previous council discussion. What were we budgeting for historically for overtime?
So historically, the overtime number is the one that if we got asked to cut our budget, often we would take funds from there. For 2025, it was budgeted at just over $197,000, which is obviously significantly underfunded. Based on a 6-year trend of what our overtime has been and then continues to expect to be, we bumped that up in the 2026 budget to $900,000
Okay, and that's what it has been on average over the last 6
on
years,
average.
roughly?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are correcting, for lack of a better term, some significant under budgeting from 2025's approved budget.
Correct.
Okay, so with this proposed budget, all things being equal, and I know that's not always the case in the policing world, this would give us a balanced budget at the end of 2026.
Correct. So this is our base going forward based on what's adequate and effective, what we feel is realistic, as well as considering efficiencies in policing as well.
Right. And the addition of complement in the 2026 budget is not actually new people. It's people that have already been hired. We're just factoring in their salaries.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Are there further questions from the board? Thank you. I actually have a question. Oh, Margie, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess the question would be to the chief. Once presented to council asked to reduce this budget. How concerned are you with the budget presented now? And if the budget is reduced, what effect will it be to the police services?
Well, my concern is adequate and effective policing and public safety. So we worked very hard to come up with a budget that we feel is representative of what we need for equipment and is accurate in the fact that we already have some of these individuals working here and we're paying them. I believe we've created a base where we should have been over the last few years. This would be that base moving forward. There's not a lot of room to come down. So I think we had the discussion with the board there. My belief is that this is as much as we can afford to come down on. There's not like, once again, it's an accurate to the best of our ability. Things may change, but there'll be no surprises at the end of the year. So we've tried to with the team here at the police service. We're certainly well aware of the budget is a hot ticket item. We tried to be as efficient as we could. I sat with all of my division heads, and we looked at the things we need and the things we have to be adequate and effective, and that's what this budget reflects.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? The question I was going to ask was answered by the chief in his response there. So thank you very much. So we are back to the resolution for the budget. Excuse me. Which would be once again resolving that the Police Service Board is approving the 2026 budget in the amount of $44,252,000, which is representative of a 10.97 increase from previous budget. May I have a mover for that resolution, please? Joe, thank you. And a seconder is Margie, thank you. And all in favor? Thank you. That's carried and it's unanimous. Thank you. Moving on to other matters arising from in camera, and I think the mayor had a matter that arose from in camera that maybe logistically would make sense to advance that at the moment.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. As you're well aware, in I think it was July, you and I, as two of the three people left standing on the board, became chair and vice chair. And I never intended to serve as vice chair for a continued period of time. I think you, as the municipal appointee, are more than perfectly capable of leading the organization as the chair. I think given you're a municipal appointee, it makes sense to have a provincial appointee as the vice chair. We did not have that until today. And now that there is a vice chair, now that there is a provincial appointee, I'd like to vacate the vice chairmanship, and in turn, I'd like to nominate Joe Greco to be the vice chair of the board.
Thank you. Joe, are you accepting of that nomination?
Yes, I would accept that nomination.
I'll second that. Can we vote on the Joe being appointed the vice chair of this board, please? All in favor? Fantastic. Big day for you, Joe. You got on the board. Now you're the vice chair. Congratulations.
I better watch out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for accepting that. And moving forward with other items that arose from in camera, the new deputy process update. So we've had this discussion in closed session, deciding how we're going to move forward. The chief, if you just want to summarize, if you could please, the need for some expediency in the appointment, and then we'll go on to the structure of that.
Yeah, so we currently have an interim chief sitting in that role. We're looking to move that process forward now that we do have a provincial appointee. We feel, from my perspective, I feel it's necessary to bring some stability to the organization, to get a deputy identified, start that process as soon as possible. So from my perspective, I've asked the board if they could strike a committee to look at the hiring of a new deputy chief and moving that process forward.
Thank you. And one of the items that we discussed was striking a committee that would be the chair, the vice chair, with a chief serving as a resource. So I'm prepared to accept a mover and a seconder for that structure of the hiring committee, please. So someone moved for that committee to be struck. Matt, thank you, and a seconder. Joe, and we can vote on that. All in favor? That's carried, and I expect that that committee will get together to look at the logistics of the next step, but that should happen, I would say, rather quickly. Yes, Matt, sorry.
Sorry, yeah, you kind of touched upon it there, but the committee will recommend the ultimate successful applicant to the board, and it'll be approved by the board as a whole. But the committee will do all the legwork of vetting applications and candidates and interviews.
Yeah, that's what we had discussed and agreed as a group. So with that, the committee now formally in place, we will get our heads together quickly to get the process moving. When we have a successful candidate that we are recommending, that recommendation will come before this board for final approval.
Great.
Anything further on that? Thank you very much. I don't think there was anything further arising from the in-camera session. So we're moving on to agenda item 12, which is communication and reports. These are only for information, so they don't need to be moved or seconded or approved. But I would just ask I'll hand it over to the chief to go through those reports, please.
Certainly, thank you. I'm actually, the first report's going to be financial reports, so I'm going to hand that over to Angela Davey, who's made herself available to me to do all things financial today. So Angela, you just run through the quick reports for them for the.
So the first report here you have is the board's auction account. So this is a ledger from May. So it's just basically a running total of everything that's gone through that account for the board's information. At the bottom of that document, it also shows that the board has tied up in investments. As per the board's direction, I monitor that, and we've left it just to roll over with similar terms as needed. Next report is the August. I'm hoping this is the August overtime report.
So some of these reports, because we haven't had a board meeting for a while, are going to be a number of months. So we're just going to go to the month of August, which is the most up to date, and bring a year to date if that works out for everybody. Let's do some questions specifically.
So this is our running total of our overtime broken down by month and then year to date. So our August overtime is trending a little bit down compared to previous years. Our total overtime is approaching $700,000 at the end of August. The board did not see reports for June, July, and August, just with a break in the summer. I just wanted to highlight June. There was a little bit of an increase based on the trends we've had this year. That is due to some major occurrences that we had in June. We had homicide. In June, we had an individual found in the marina in June and
Mall attack.
Right.
And the mall attack.
Mall attack. So you see that little blip there, the resources for that. Staffing shortages, which do represent slightly under 20% of our overtime budget. This is when we aren't able to fill the minimum requirements for patrols and our dispatchers. So you'll see that in the here, just the trends over the last few months. It has been looking better. We've got a few officers that came back from OPC earlier this year, so some of those staffing shortages have increased as a result. The next report just splits it out between patrol and the dispatchers, just so you can see the difference between the shortages between the two units.
Move on to the next. Want me to move on? No, sorry. Next is gonna be just move on to year-to-date stats. Again, this is reflective as the end of July. Our stats kind of fall, we're about 6 weeks behind in reporting our stats. So this will be for July. All good numbers. The one high increase would be break and enters up, or sorry, attempted break and enters up 138.5%, which is compared to year-to-date 2024 was a very low number, so there may have been some misreporting in 2024 with regards to the numbers because we're pretty much on par with the 3 previous years. So, theft, shoplifting, theft from motor vehicles are all trending down. Fraud is up slightly. Vehicle collisions also up 41% from the year before, and of course we've had a large increase in impaired driving. Again, there's a change in the way the reporting was done. Impaireds in 2024 were statted as there's also a dangerous driving, impaired cause dangerous, which was kind of superseding the actual impaired charge. So it's high across the last 4 or 5 years. We do have a lot of younger officers, a lot more drug charges, I believe. Impaired drug charges are being laid, so those numbers seem to be up. I can't speak to Angela, but I know RIDE got out kind of late this year, but we did see some RIDE, some charges come through the RIDE program as well. So for the most part, things are trending down. Obviously, homicide 2 compared to 1 last year, we're at 3 so far this year. So that number is gonna increase. But the robberies, assaults, and sexual assaults are down. Intimate partner violence continues to be a concern. It's up 8%. Is there any questions on that? I will report on Prince Township. Prince Township with police out there. We had a total at the end for the month of July was 13. Total for the year to date was 77 calls out to Prince. So it's broken down. It's majority of the calls are police assistance type calls. Some animal calls, as you suspect, out the county, things like that. So mostly traffic complaints and low volume, kind of low capacity calls out there. Division 2 stats. I'll just go once again to the kind of the totals for the year. A lot of work being done down there by our people who've had it signed down there. So the totals for total for the end of the year. Foot patrol, we had 143 hours. Foot patrol laid 207 PONs, which are provincial offense notices, which would be tickets. Made 67 arrests. And done 127 property checks year to date. So obviously, I think we're seeing a positive impact in the downtown. I know the business owners down there seem to be very complimentary to the work that's getting done. So hopefully we can continue that trend moving forward. Bail compliance, again, year-end totals, 28 total arrests. They laid 110 charges for bail violations. Did 55 compliance checks, and they've done just under 27 hours of surveillance on potential investigations. So, move to use of force reports for you. So year to date, we've had for 2025, we had 70 use of force reports, which is up 13 from previous years. So the incidents would be 42 in 2024 and 54 in 2025. The number of reports are up because individual officers at the same occurrence may have to do individual reports. So sometimes the report numbers are up. There's 5 officers, they all have to do their own report. The occurrences are kind of what you're looking for, which is 42 compared to 54. Okay, police complaints. We received 6 new complaints, 6 new LECA complaints in the time frame of this reporting frame. 4 of which have already been closed, 2 of which remain open and are being investigated. So, any questions on that? Again, we always kind of report on the letters of appreciation. We still, between June and today's day, we received 12 letters of appreciation. There's a number of officers that are mentioned a few times, Rotary Fest, some occurrences through that, as well as a lot of online reporting, just thanking officers for their kind of their service and their civility when they're on calls. So I won't get into that unless there's some questions, but they're there for your review. Obviously, very positive to see the public sending in those letters of appreciation. And we'd have to track that. And most of those letters will get onto the officers' files after they come in. And financial update. I know this is a bit of a strange one for us because we're going to do a financial, like the finance committee is next month. But do you want to just run through this kind of quickly for them again? And
So this was our second quarter results and projection, which was presented to the finance committee in July. So it's starting to get a little bit old as we're coming to the end of quarter three next week. But what was presented to the finance committee was a slightly better picture. So we started in January with projection of being over budget by $2.3 million at the end of quarter one. That had dropped to 1.9. At the end of quarter two, we are projecting a 1.45 deficit in our budget. Again, as we discussed in the budget conversation, that is primarily driven by salaries and having more people in complement than we had budgeted for. This projection does reflect the fact that we had one retirement at the end of June. We had a second retirement in July, so that will be reflected in the third quarter report. A big chunk of the change as well in quarter two was we finally got to bring in contributions from reserves. So all of the renovations at Division 2 were funded from reserve accounts. So the expenditures were coming through. Now we've seen the offsetting revenues coming through. So we set a net zero impact on that. Other than that, we had a few miscellaneous grants and revenues that have already been adjusted in quarter one that are reflected in that. We don't include anything that has not yet come to fruition. So quarter three, we'll see a few other things that have come to fruition since then, such as we have an agreement with the Ontario Police College. Now we've got an officer seconded there. They pay for that officer's salary and benefits during the duration that they are there. Other than that, expenditures, operating capital, we continue to monitor on a regular basis just to make sure that we are being efficient spending. We had a plan in place earlier in the year. We're continuing to follow that plan. And I'm hoping to see similar results at the end of quarter three, maybe slightly better with that one retirement. And the finance committee will be getting that late October, early November.
Bill, if I may,
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
I think you hinted at it, but do you have any sense of if the 1.45 projected $1 million projected deficit for the end of the year is going to be revised down again after the third quarter results are in?
And I have to be honest, I have not had a chance to look at financials. I'm looking at the staffing crisis in finance right now, so I have not had a chance to take a look at where we're at. I do expect it to draw down a little bit. Again, we had one retirement in July, so that's to our benefit. Again, we've been managing expenditures, but I'm not making promises.
Not making promises, okay. Well, the fact that you've brought it down every quarter thus far is promising, so thank you.
Yeah, expectations are high.
Any further questions for the chief or Angela on that? Okay, thank you.
Labor conference line?
I'm sorry?
Am I discussing the labor conference?
No, that's for the OAPSB Labor Conference, November the 25th and 26th, Nuala. We had that on there to see if there was any interest in anybody attending. We'll need to do a registration soon.
Right, so we just kind of internally adopted this no spend sort of policy for the last little bit, given the concerns we had with budget. This is a labor conference that's hosted by the Ontario Association of Police Services Boards. We are going into labor negotiations next year. Generally speaking, the chair and sometimes the vice chair, I think, are part of that bargaining committee. It's a good training session, so I put this before the board to see if I have support that we should send a person, and if so, who you think might go to that. And is there any discussion on that?
Who's on the committee?
I think we
Well, we don't know
lost
that yet.
Yeah.
We don't know that yet.
We'll be into negotiations next year. In January, we'll pick the
We'll fix
negotiation.
the new committees, yeah. Do you,
But-
well, no, but presuming here that you may be the vice chair again next year.
I'm the chair.
Sorry, the chair.
Joey is the vice chair.
I'm the vice chair.
I didn't intentionally demote you there.
Yeah, sure. It was very Freudian, but yeah, go ahead.
Do you think it would be beneficial for you? Do you think you need
So
it?
I understand. So, I mean, personally, it would be very beneficial for me because I have never done police labor negotiations. I've done some labor negotiations, but I think the chair is generally a part of those discussions. But I'm happy to send one of my colleagues in my stead. But I think it would be valuable to have someone attend, and I think that someone should also be the person that carries through for the bargaining committee.
Is this an eligible expense from the board's auction account?
I'm gonna say it doesn't meet the parameters of the board's auction account. It is budgeted for in
Yes.
the operating budget of the
Okay.
board's budget.
And I would say it's a fairly, it's important one to be going to. If you're gonna go to one, this will be one to go to. A lot of information, a lot of trends moving forward, and there's obviously we're coming into a big contract here in 2027. So, I mean, from a chief's perspective, I would suggest should be attending that.
Archie?
Maybe to Lisa. Lisa, will they hold this next year also?
So actually, I have been privy to some information that this will not happen again in the fall of 26. That they're going to join up with the PAO conference that's in early winter, February, I think, February, March, and do a combined labor conference next year in February. That's not for sure. That's kind of what I've been told, is that they're going to do away with the fall one next year, make it earlier in the year. I think it'll line up with bargaining better for different places, so they're trying to do it early. And team up with PAO, so the chiefs, the association, and the boards would all be at the same conference, different streams.
Would it be beneficial to wait till?
Is that February of 26 or 27?
26. But I hate to rely on the information. I've been told. I wasn't at the conference. I was told that the last conference that was held in BC, there was talk of that happening for 2026.
Yeah.
It's not a sure thing, then
No.
someone's got to.
And I've seen nothing come out. Like, I've received no emails or anything like to that effect, so.
Mhm.
Lisa, another question. Is that available remotely? Is it possible to attend just via Zoom? No, I see the chief shaking his head.
Historically, I haven't seen it available remotely.
Yeah, I think we should approve the chair attending.
That's me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's you.
Yes. Barring the unforeseen, you know.
Is everyone in favor of that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yep, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I don't actually see a motion, but I appreciate that and we'll be able to proceed. And our next item is a very special commendation for Special Constable Dollywall, excuse me. And Chief, would you give us a little overview of what happened? This is such a happy story.
Yeah, so we have an officer that works for us, that went to the World Police Fire Games. Special Constable came third in the 50-meter, 100-meter breaststroke events. So represented our service very well. Just outstanding amount of training that would have to have gone into that. This would be like the Olympics for the police and fire. So people from all over the world coming to it. I think a tremendous feat for him. He did all this on his own accord, and then obviously when he was there, certainly representing Canada and this police service at the highest possible level. So we're just looking for a recommendation to give him a commendation to recognize his efforts and the way he represented our organization. So.
Any comments or questions on that? Such a fantastic story. So we're going to resolve that the board will issue a board commendation certificate to Special Constable Dollywall for his participation in the 2025 World Police and Fire Games, and it's going to be presented at the Honors and Awards Luncheon. So that'll be very nice for him. Can I have a mover for that, please? Marchie, and seconded by Joe, it looks like, and we'll vote on that. And that's carried unanimously. Thank you, and congratulations.
Won't be a very big surprise when he receives the board.
Yeah.
Our next topic this afternoon revolves around this notion of critical points, and I'll just make a little couple of comments, and then maybe the chief, if I've left something out, you can color in the blanks for me. But under the new act, we as the board chair in particular, is required to be advised of what are called critical points. And the notion of a critical point really is matters of strategic significance, either financially or reputationally, that would require the board's immediate awareness or possible action. So it's very rather subjectively defined, although it is a term in the act. And what is happening currently is I'm receiving these critical point, I'm going to say the word bulletin, for lack of a better word, bulletins from Sarah saying, you know, this has happened, or there has been X has happened in our community, and we're making an arrest or something like that. And I have just been rather using my discretion to forward those critical point bulletins when I think the board members would be interested to hear it. But I have not been forwarding every one of them. So I'm hoping to create a protocol this afternoon so that either it's screened and you're not getting everything, or would you rather just see everything? And if it's not important for your role, then you can disregard it, but you would see everything. Because at the moment, I don't have guidance on that, and I don't want to fill your inboxes unnecessarily. But that said, you might want to know what's going on. It's just the hiccup. Everyone, the hiccup is that it's such a broadly defined term. What is a critical point? So police are going to err on the side of caution, and they're going to disclose, virtually everything to me that they think constitutes a critical point. Then the secondary piece of how does that get disseminated to you? How would you like to hear that? That's the piece I'm seeking some direction. And Chief, is there anything to fill in there that I skipped over?
No, I think this is kind of new to all of us, the policy. I think this might be the first new board policy that's come into play, so we're all just trying to work our way through it. I've tried to be, kind of cognizant of what the policy's intent is, so not sending every time we get a call to a school or something like that, but obviously anything that might be of concern to the board or affect the reputation of the board, operational risk, financial risk, other, it's pretty broad. If you read through this list, it could be, as the initial discussion, could be just about every call we go to, could have some of these implications. So we're trying to be, as cognizant of what the intent is here. Obviously, if the board directs me, currently the policy says the board chair, if the board as a group would like every one of those, we can have that forwarded to the entire board. It's just a matter of, you're going to get some emails, that's also, and a lot of them won't be necessarily stuff that you may go, but I mean, if it's something that if I look at it and go, yeah, they should probably have a heads up, then I'm going to send the email. So it's once again, we do have some discussion. Do we think it fits? We refer to the policy because it is new, so we don't want to be splashing everything out, but and it may get pared down as we kind of get a better feel for what other services are doing, and maybe Tom may be able to weigh in on some of that as well. But for myself, just looking for direction, we're happy to what's one email or 4 emails or 5 emails. So it's for us, it's pretty simple. So we are tracking them all, so we do have a record of what has gone out, and I mean, I think it's just a matter of increased communication between the board and the chief is what the spirit of this is for, and making sure that nobody's being surprised by anything the following day. So,
if I could.
yes.
So the direction for the new policy came down from the IOP. They gave us a sample policy for us to follow. I believe it was from Peel. I looked at Peel's, Toronto's, Sudbury's. Everybody more or less mirrored the exact same policy, though that's what Sault Ste. Marie has done. At present, that is what their policy says, that the chief will notify the board chair. At the board chair's discretion, she will forward as she feels necessary. But we can make a change to that policy. Like I say, I've just mirrored what was given to me.
So I'll put that to the floor. If there's any comments on that, are you content to have me vet it, or would you rather receive everything? That's the long and short of it, I guess.
No.
Yes, Matt, thank you.
Yeah, I think it kind of historically it's been sent to the board even in the absence of a policy because it wasn't required before the new act. So I have always appreciated these heads up kind of emails. Not all of them are, things that really require much thought. You look at them and continue on, but it's better to hear it from the service than to read it in the media, I find.
Thank you, Matt. Margie, you had a comment?
Yeah, I think just for transparency, if the chair gets it, have the whole board get it, and so the chief can send it to everybody instead of sending it to the chair and the chair has to send it off. I'm okay with the chief, but
One thing that's not on the list of, although it could fit elsewhere, but when SIU is invoked, that's historically been something that we are advised of.
Yeah, so obviously anytime there's an SIU gets invoked, normally the chair of the board would be notified. I followed the policy and notified the chair kind of on the last occurrence, but that would be something with follow. Now what happened, there is a bit of a change now, so we found this out kind of over the last incident. We report to SIU, we didn't get notified they were invoking. They put it on their website gets an alert to some of the local media outlets, so they find out about it before we got notified back that it was happening. So there was a bit of a delay in our response. Now that could have been a full message left in our PSB officers when he's not at his desk, or however that works, but once we know that it's going to be forwarded, typically I would wait till we know if they're invoking or not. And the kind of the last circumstance they invoked before we kind of were aware of it and got to the media before we were able to notify the board. But I had advised the board chair that there was a potential. We'd made the report to them, but the invocation came before we were kind of aware of it. So when it came out in the news, we were like, but then we realized it was probably as soon as it went on their website, likely you could have an automatic update from. So we've tried to address that, but like I said, that would be something that typically the board members would all get notified of. So moving forward, that would certainly be the case, and I'll just do it as soon as we file the report with SIU moving forward. So
Thank you. Tom, you're going to weigh in? You're on mute, Tom.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity. As Lisa indicated, the Inspector General issued a memorandum about 6 months ago, I believe, recommending that every board adopt a critical points policy. The issue arose originally during the G20 summit in Toronto, which led to an exhaustive and seminal investigation by Justice Morgan. And one of the recommendations that Justice Morgan made was the Toronto Police Service Board adopt a critical points policy. The point of it is to ensure that the board is sufficiently informed in or as close to real time as you can get on matters of critical importance to the board, and provide the board an opportunity to provide not just advice, but any direction that the board chooses to provide on the matter. So the issue at the time was that the Toronto Police Services Board was of the view that these are all operational matters and therefore the board didn't have a role. That is not correct. The board has a definite role in these matters. And while you're restricted from providing direction to the chief of police on specific operational matters or investigations, the board can provide advice not advice, but direction to the chief of police that affects operations. So it's an important distinction. So this is the first step. An informed board is then in a position to provide that direction if you so choose.
Thanks, Tom. Was there any further comments on this? Because the resolution as it now stands has the communication going directly to the chair and then it being filtered out to the board members. So it sounds like there's a move to just have it sent directly to the entire board. Am I reading the room right? So we can make that, maybe we can make that small amendment then to the resolution, please, Lisa, that will adopt the policy with one change, that critical points be communicated to the entire board. And
I adjusted.
yep, you've adjusted that. So could I have
I-
a mover for that, adopting the policy? And Joe, thank you. And a seconder, please. Marchie has seconded and will vote. And that is, that's approved. Taxi bylaw updates, Chief, please.
Taxi bylaw updates. Yes, so we have, let me just find that here.
We don't have it in there. That's the one with the 50 page that just.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mentioned it earlier. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
So we've had our staff go through kind of the current taxi bylaw, identify some areas that need to be updated. That package has been forwarded to the city for their view, and then update to the bylaw with a hope that they'll eventually take over the licensing for taxis, and we will manage the background checks and things like that. So that has been forwarded to the city. It's in their hands at this point.
Thank you.
That's a 50
That was
page
just for the
document.
information. Yeah, and that's just for the information of the board today. And our next matter is staffing deployment and secondary activities update. And Chief, I'm going to hand it over to you, and maybe just for Joe's edification again, you could explain why we're looking at these type of reports.
So this is basically a board report from the chief to board as per kind of the direction we've got from under the new act, updates kind of advancement and rank, just increasing that transparency between the chief and the board. We do have a couple of items of interest that we go through, any promotions, retirements, any kind of and the change to our compliments. So for us, we've had 3 people advance in rank from, that's just a matter of being on the job for a year at a time. You advance in your rank. You have to write requalification exams to get that next bump in your salary. Going from first class to 2 takes you 4 years to go through that. So we had 3 officers that have met that standard as of the date of this report. We've had promotions, Troy Miller to sergeant, as a result of us sending one officer away to OPC as a sergeant level, created a vacancy in our sergeant position. It was going to be more than 90 days, so we backfilled that position, offsetting the sergeant salary with the OPC. We've had retirements. Constable, our Staff Sergeant Dave West, we had a civilian also retire, and Ryan Lillington was a constable retired. So those individuals have moved off our books into a better, happier, more fulfilling retirement. I'm hoping for them all. Again, we spoke to kind of complement earlier. So currently we're at 166 officers. Without that number will come down as we see more retirements come in. We budgeted for 167 in anticipation of potentially hiring an external deputy. And then obviously the swarm will go up because we're getting that bump from, which has all been reflected in the new budget. So items of interest for me, grade school liaison position has been created. So we already had the high school position, created a grade school position. Mark Profit was successful with that. So he's been working with the school boards to come up with programming for the grade 6 classes, and he'll be a good liaison for the principals for any issues in the grade schools. Rob Chabot has spoken to, has gone off a secondment position to Ontario Police College. They were very happy to have an officer come down from our service. It's been a while since we had one there. Y-class position has been created within the investigative services. We're still waiting for funding from the ministry, and we're working out some of the details. We haven't identified the officer for that position yet, but once the MOU is signed, then we'll engage in a interview process and identify an officer to go sit that role. That's once again a fully funded position. And then we successfully have a human trafficking position fully funded from the ministry as well. And that officer has been identified and been working that role for a number of months now. So all of which can offset salary here and put us in good stead with our provincial partners to be kind of the front line of those high risk positions. And obviously human trafficking is something that we want to make sure we are at the leading edge of. So okay.
Thank you.
The
Any
rest,
questions? Oh, sorry, Chief.
sorry,
we're done there.
3 more pages here. So just secondary activities. Once again, we have to report on secondary activities. So anytime we get approached by an officer or a civilian member who is looking to do work outside the service, they have to have approval from the chief's position, and we then just report that to the board. And secondary activities with regard to pay duty. These would be all the officers who get paid duty for us is done through a central call-in. So officers don't get to go find their own paid duties. They have to call in. It's distributed equally. Basically, a page goes out to anybody that's interested. Everybody puts their name in. Whoever has the least amount gets it. But we report that to make sure there aren't one or two officers constantly working in the same areas, and just for information as per the act. So a lot of this came out of Rotary Fest. A lot of paid duties kind of around. Great, you'll see a lot of Greyhound games, things like that. So those aren't budget affected. That's paid by the vendor that's asking for the paid duty officer. And we just ensure that it's a equal distribution of that paid duty across the service. Okay. So,
Sorry, that paid duty. I think we asked this at the last meeting, but I don't recall the answer. It covers the entire cost of that person coming in?
So typically the paid duty that requires a cruiser, that paid duty would also cover the cost of the cruiser. So a Greyhound game doesn't require a cruiser, so the officer typically would either take their own vehicle down. Now what we're doing, because you're in uniform, we allow them to take one of our vehicles, or they'll get picked up and dropped off. But yes, if it's you're doing a traffic duty where you have to have the cruiser, then it would involve the cost of the cruiser, essentially.
So,
Thank you. Further questions to the chief on his report? All right, could I have a mover, please, to accept the report of the chief? Matt has moved and a seconder. Joe, thank you.
Yep.
And we'll, if I could, all in favor? Thank you, that's approved. No idea how long I was on mute there, but rest assured, I was saying very important things. And I'm fortunate that you missed. That never sounded better, exactly. We're going to move to the ride share application, please, by Scoot TNC Inc. Chief, if you could give a summary, please.
Absolutely. So it's actually an application that we've already viewed as a board and approved for Bond Technologies. They were having some business issues with regards to insurance, so they teamed up with Scoot Inc. out of I believe it's out of Northbridge. So they're going to basically partner. They've already been approved from us. Scoot Inc.'s already been approved from whatever town they live in. So it's just a matter of they're teaming up to cover off the insurance requirements, is my understanding. So no change there as far as approving that to go forward. I don't feel on my part.
Very good. Questions or comments on this new license? I don't see anything. May I have a mover, please? Matt, thank you. And a seconder? Joe, thank you. And all in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. Any new business, board, that you'd like to bring forward at this time?
The parking lot was full and I parked in a cruiser spot.
Yeah, it's a little
That's
tight out
old.
there, isn't it?
That's old business, Matt.
So we're running some in-house training that was supposed to be at Sioux College, but the strike we felt was, we'd run it here. So we have 25 extra people in on their days off. So the parking lots there, it's always typically very jammed. But I was wondering where everybody was going to be parking today. I thought maybe over across the street and taking the chance of running across Great Northern Road or something, playing Frogger. But yeah, sorry for the cars in the parking lot. It is a tough spot to get a parking spot these days for sure.
If I could,
Our next-
if I could, Nuala, sorry. Our next meeting is set for the October the 29th, and Chief Duguay is unavailable on that date. Do we want to amend it, change the date, whatever the thoughts are?
Can we make it the day before?
It's that week, unfortunately. I'm
whole
away.
week.
Oh, my apologies. I have to be away.
Okay.
Do you want to, Joe and Matt, do you want to, we can canvass this electronically and just get it back to Lisa in the next couple of days, so you don't have to do it on the fly right now? Just if we can get it to her by the end of the week or middle of next week, that'll be, I think, good enough.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, we'll get back to you, Lisa, with another date that's agreeable. And it's now 3:18, and we can adjourn this meeting. May I have a mover? Matt, thank you, and a seconder, Marchie, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.